Hello and welcome to this AccountingWEB product showcase where we take an in-depth look at the tools powering the accountancy profession. We are taking a special look at Practice Suite Capium today, and I'm delighted to be joined by Surya Dinavahi from the Customer Success team. Hi Surya.
Hey, hello.
Thanks for joining me. Now, this is the second in a two-part video. The first one is a brief introduction to Capium and some of its features and a bit of history about the tool. So if you haven't watched that, I would recommend taking a look. The link is in the description to this video. In this part, we'll be taking a tour around the Capium product and look at some of the features and the functionality. So let's get started.
Yeah. So I'll start off by sharing my screen. To start off with, we'll start in the bookkeeping section. And under the bookkeeping module, we've got general settings from where you can change your chart of accounts in bulk for all the companies at once. And then you also have the ability to change your chart of accounts for each company. Now, in Capium, we use the same set of chart of accounts across all the software. So the benefit of that is that there is a smooth transition when you move from the bookkeeping system to the payroll, to accounts production, and to the tax modules. So when you go into a particular module, and let's say if I show you my demo company, you'll see here that we've got embedded payment solution enabled. So you are able to sign up your businesses, including your accounting practice, to get paid with Capium Pay. And with this, you're also able to auto-reconcile the sales that come in to Capium. Now, we've got the sales section where you can raise invoices. You have the ability to do imports of invoices, so you could bring a bunch of invoices from a third-party application into Capium. And you can also it has a standard invoice layout, so produce invoices and quotations from within the application. Going from there, we've got the purchases, which follows a similar layout to our sales section. So when you can again bring in either one purchase at a time, or you can click import to bring in multiple purchases at once. This works really well if you have elements like text or auto entry, where you can download a CSV file from those softwares and then import everything into Capium. Now, following that, we've got quick entry, which is a quick way to bring in sales and purchases at the same time. We've got a fixed asset register within the application. And then we've got bank, where you can import your bank in a number of different ways. So you could either bring in your bank via a bank import. So you're bringing a CSV sheet in. You can link your bank feeds using Capium's APIs. And you could also manually import the bank if you're working with dormant companies or fewer transactions than usual. We also have cache coding, which is a quicker way for you to bulk categorize transactions. And then we've got a few other areas of the program where you can use bank transfers to transfer funds between bank accounts and so on. We've got the contact fields, and with the contact fields, you're able to bulk import your customers and the suppliers at the same time. We've got the directors and shareholders, which you can auto-update from the accounts module, where we've got an API built with the company's house, and it can import the directors as per company's house records. We've also got the MTD section here, from where you can submit the VAT that has been produced within the Capium, or you can use our bridging functionality to essentially submit your VAT return that has been produced elsewhere. So all you need there is your box 1 to 9 figures, input VAT and output VAT, and you could do an MTD submission. We support CIS here, so with that we do subcontractor verifications and CIS 300s, so you could do direct submissions to HMRC with Capium. So yeah, with that, we'll quickly cover the reports. So you have the customer-centric reports, you have the supplier reports, the financials, where we cover profit and loss, balance sheet, trial balance, and other elements. And finally, we've got additional reports where you could do the nominal ledgers and cash and bank reports alongside the account details, where you'll drill down into each account and investigate things further. Now let's just jump into the payroll module. So within the payroll module, our key feature is the payroll automation function. With this, you are able to automate a company's payroll. So for example, for any company that has a static payroll, you are able to automate the entire FPS submission process. And it can also automate the pay slips to the employees. So the way you set it up, it differs, and we usually cover that in the onboarding process. But you can automate your entire payroll flow using Capium. And going into a particular client, you will see that there is no limit to the number of employees you can add in to any particular client. And that's quite good for payroll bureaus or accountants handling bigger companies with more employees on the payroll. So under the employee section, you've got the ability to add employees again one at a time. You can import employees in bulk. As you set up an employee, there is standard information that we ask: personal details, starter details, payroll details, national insurance and tax, and the payment details and pension details. So once that information is up to date on all the employees, you can quite simply just add any additions. So let's say if they've got any leaves in that month, additions or deductions in the month, and so on. And you can add all of those elements as you go through. As you go through this list, you can just process the payroll, and as you can again separate your monthly payroll flow to the weekly payroll flow. So if the same company has two different payroll frequencies, you are able to run that within Capium. And we have different types of payslip previews as well. So you could produce payslip previews in any different formats that you may require. And once this is produced, you can then send them directly from within the application to either the employees or the employers in any particular case. We've recently done an integration with HMRC Connect, and with this, we can do the in-year tax code changes and the end-of-year tax code changes. We can also bring in data about student loans and update that within the employees section. We collaborate and integrate with two pension providers directly. So that's Nest and Smart Pensions, where you can do direct submissions from Capium. But we do also integrate with a number of other pension providers. So when you go on to add a new pension scheme, you can see that we support a number of different pension schemes here. And you can also choose the option Other and add any other pension schemes that you might be using. After you've done your payroll run, there is an automation which automatically puts in journals from the payroll module to the bookkeeping module. And there is also a new sort of feature that lets you post journals from our payroll module to any other bookkeeping software. So currently we integrate with QuickBooks, Xero, FreeAgent, and ClearBooks, where we are able to push the journals out to these softwares. We have the payroll reports, where you could do a number of different payroll reports. And with both the payroll module and the accounts module, the bookkeeping module, you are able to bring in your clients to collaborate with you. And with that, within the bookkeeping, you can pick and choose what you want to give your clients access to. And within payroll, they are able to update the timekeeping records. So if you've got any particular companies that has a lot of timesheets, you can just bring them in and add it and give the ability for the client to add the time records. That again helps you to work towards the efficiencies and make sort of your clients involved in the whole accounts and the bookkeeping process. Now, following this, we'll move into the accounts production module. So when we navigate to the accounts production module, you'll see that we've got a handy place to store all your authentication codes alongside the general settings, where you can see the sort of entities that we support within the accounts module. So we currently support limited companies, and with this we support micro entities, so FRS 105, and we support small companies, so FRS 102 and FRS 102-1A. We also support LLPs, partnerships, and sole traders within the accounts production system. And from there, if we go into a company, you are able to see that you can import a trial balance, again, from a number of different sources. So you could either bring it from our own bookkeeping system, where it does not need any translation and it's plug and play. You could bring the sort of trial balances from QuickBooks or Xero and Free Agent, where you've got to translate them from the Capium sort of nominal codes need to be translated from these other software nominal codes. So once that's done, the software would automatically pick the codes and it will translate them for you the second time onwards. Once you bring in a trial balance, it will appear a bit like this, and then you're able to post journal entries from inside Capium, and you can track those journals in the reports as well. So any changes that have been made to this trial balance can be then tracked later on as well. Now, once you've brought in your current year trial balance and your previous year trial balance, you can then go into the settings and define the company, do the notes to produce the accounts. So when you go into the report settings, you'll notice that there is a number of fields that you can update. And as you update these fields, you can select whether this company is is using FRS 102, 105, if it's an audited company, if it's dormant or trading, and all the other elements. As you go through, notes are fully customizable within Capium. So again, you are able to bring in directors manually, where you add one at a time, or you can update them directly using our link to Companies House. And that refreshes either based on each company, or you have it at the master level when you're onboarding for the very first time, where it will change the directors for all companies at once. So we usually use that option when you're onboarding onto Capium. Now, once you've done the notes and you're going through the accountant's report, the accounting policy, and all the other elements, as these have been added in, they'll reflect in the report section here. So under report, you could produce annual accounts, which will be for the periods that you've set for the company. And you can also produce management accounts, which will be a bit more flexible. And you can choose the from date and the to date for the management accounts. Under the report settings, you can see that reports are fully customizable, so accountants can pick and choose what they want to submit to Companies House, and then customize the reports accordingly. With this, there is also a direct submission process to Companies House. So once you're done with reviewing everything, you could get this e-signed via Capium and then submit to Companies House using our template here. So you do a direct submission to Companies House. Following this, let's quickly go into the corporation tax module. So with our accounts production package, it can take all the data from the accounts and then populate that into the corporation tax module. So there is an integration built into that. And with this, what you will see is when you're producing a CT600 return, that CT600 return can take the data from accounts directly. So there's two sides of the balance, so two sides of the account. So the profit and loss would be translated immediately, but the balance sheet treatment is slightly different. So you'd have to update it once, and from every year onwards, you can carry forward the data from your previous year. So once you produce a CT600, you could then edit that return. And as you edit, there are handy calculators available to you to, use the capital allowance calculator, for example, to fast track things as you put new assets here. And you can also add your supplementary pages from the main form. So if you go into the main form and navigate to page 2, you can add the supplementary pages. And as you add those supplementary pages, you're able to manually fill those pages in as well. So if the quick entry tool is not fully, if you need something outside of the quick entry, you can always edit the main form within our corporation tax system. All the edits that you've made in the main form will reflect on our CT600 computation. And again, there is an approval process built into the CT600 module. So you could get the approvals right before you submit to HMRC. We could then move into our self-assessment system. So within the self-assessments, we support SA 100s, SA 800s, and SA 900s. So within SA 900s, if I could give a quick glimpse, we can cover a range of different trusts. So when you're creating a new SA 900 return, there are different types of trusts that we cover. And based on the type of trust, your SA 900 form changes slightly. and you'll see that change in the system. We cover the SA 800, where we do partnership returns. And with the partnership return, again, we are able to bring the data from a number of different sources. So either the bookkeeping system, the accounts production system, which integrates to other third-party bookkeeping applications as well, or you could manually fill in the SA 800. So if you select whichever method you want to bring the data into, you can then create a form here, and with the form you can edit the return and then go in and edit your main form. So you can edit the cover page, update the details, and the same thing can be followed across. You can also add supplementary pages here. So as you can add land and property, foreign income, savings, and chargeable assets. And as all of this information is updated, it automatically splits it between the partner shares. So in the settings, you can configure the partner shares once, and it will automatically allocate the share to the relevant partner. Following this, if you're also doing the partner's individual SA 100 return, it can automatically fetch the information from SA 800 and then fill into the SA 100 module. So if I select a particular client here, so let's say this one, I can, again, bring the data from a number of different sources. So you could use bookkeeping if this person is a sole trader, accounts if you want to produce sole trader accounts, and you could also manually fill the information in if you are just given paper records. You will go into the action to, again, click edit, and at this point you can essentially edit the main form where you are defining their income, tax reliefs, and they're finishing their tax return by setting off their refunds or anything else. And anything else that you need to add to the supplementary pages, you're able to add it from the list here. We have a HMRC Connect feature, which essentially brings in the employment income and the non-employment income into the SA 100 forms. So when you click on HMRC Connect here, it will bring in the employment information, and that you are able to auto-populate into a supplementary page form here. So if you've got any employment income or non-employment income, that is auto-populated under the supplementary pages, and then you can go in and add any other relevant pages that you might require. There are calculators built into these pages, so if you use UK property or any other bits, there will be calculators that help you to sort of get the data in a more in a quicker, more efficient manner. Now, going into that, you can again get approvals done in self-assessment and get them approved towards the end of the year. So this is our charity module, where we cover two elements. One is the bookkeeping element, and then there is the accounts element. And we currently support two types of entities here. One is the unincorporated charities, and then we also support CIOs within this module. The difference between the charity bookkeeping and the other bookkeeping module is funds and allocating everything to funds. So funds are at the center of our charity module. You're able to add as many funds as needed. And as you add funds, you will see them populated on your fund list. So you could have breakdowns of several funds. So you could have multiple funds under general funds, and you can track your income, expenditure, and donations based on each fund type. So it essentially is more sort of tailored towards charities to do their bookkeeping and essentially have a fund-wise allocation to produce their accounts towards the end of the year. So again, it shares something similar things to our bookkeeping. So you can again do the invoices, do bulk invoice import. You can do sales, bulk sale imports, and then you can also do donations and donation coding within Capium. So you can again bring in donations in bulk. We also support donations in kind. So with that, let me just quickly show the donation screen. So this is our donation screen where you can select your donors from the list and select which bank it was deposited to alongside the fund names and everything else. If you have any donation in kind, that has to be treated slightly differently because you've got the debit account and the credit account of the donation. And once both of that has been processed, you can accept donations in kind and record them within the application as well. And then we've got donation coding, which is essentially at the end of an event or anywhere where you've received a bulk of donations, you can code all of them at once. We are also supporting gift aid submissions directly to HMRC. So if you claim gift aid, you are able to essentially do the donations and the sort of donation coding in Capium, and then do a gift aid claim via Capium as well. Following this, we've got our accounts system. So for the accounts, we've got the you could bring your trial balance in from, again, the bookkeeping side. So you've got the import from bookkeeping. Alternatively, you can import from a third-party solution, or you can just manually type in your trial balance to come into the software. Once that is in, it follows a similar flow to our account system, where you will go into the management section and check how your statement of financial activities or your balance sheet look like. And after you've reviewed them, you can move into producing your accounts. Yeah, so this is your statement of financial activities. You'll have a very similar balance sheet, and it will essentially divide your funds as you see here. And then it compares your total funds this year to your prior year funds as required by the Charities Commission. Now, to produce the final accounts, you'll just navigate to the annual accounts. And as you navigate to annual accounts, it will have the notes section, which again populates to the annual account. So under the notes, you have a very similar layout where you select all the notes that are relevant to this charity. You can update the notes. Again, as you update these notes, they only change for this charity and not for all charities at once. And you can copy paste your trustees report and your independent examiner report here. And that again produces your annual accounts, which are a bit similar to this. And as you could, it essentially gives you a PDF output, which you can customize, add any images or text, and it's our next gen into producing more like finer looking accounts. So with this, it's fully customizable report. Once it comes down here, again, you can customize the grids, the view, the alignment, and everything else here. So once your charity accounts are ready, you will essentially download a copy of that and submit it directly to Charities Commission. Currently, Charities Commission does not have an API, so we are not able to directly submit it to them. But that's our charities module. And we have our practice management system that essentially overarches the entire productivity within Capium. So within this, you'll see that you start off by defining the services that you offer. So as you define the services that your practice offers, you can configure the steps of the service to essentially make sure that every member of staff follows the similar processes when producing accounts or working on a particular task. You can configure reminders, and you can also configure custom emails to go with the reminders that you've set. Again, this is a very customizable system, and our onboarding team helps you customize this for your practice requirements. And we are able to handhold you through setting up the practice management system. So to start off with, you'll look at the CRM system, where you are able to essentially bring in the connections that you've gotten for the business. And as you add a new prospect, it is able to capture all the prospect or the lead details. And you can also select the services that that person might be interested in. And once you've done that, it creates a prospect for you, and you can then do your emails from within the application. You can send proposals and letters of engagement from within the application, see the services that they might be interested in, and you can also create ad hoc tasks for the members within the teams. So you could assign a task to somebody and ask them to chase up this lead until you've heard back from them. There is a communication portal here as well that essentially helps you send out SMSs, and sort of bulk emails to people, so that you will be able to communicate with your leads more efficiently. Once you've converted a lead, for example, you can simply select on a lead or a prospect and convert their status as a client. And at that point, they will be automatically created in the system, and you will then see them on the workspace client section. Now, at this stage, we have a more dedicated flow to essentially help you onboard these people a bit better. So if you look at the onboarding flow, there is a customizable onboarding flow for your practice. Again, you can pick and choose what sequence you go into, and then you could do a risk assessment check. And with this risk assessment check, you are essentially reviewing the risk level of this client in relation to your practice. And this risk assessment would also be reviewed by the AML officer within the firm. So there are usually the super accountant or the primary admin user would always be the AML officer, but you could add multiple other AML officers within Capium. We have compliance checks, which aids on top of the risk assessment checks. And with the compliance checks, you are able to do an AML check, a credit check, international ID check, and company check within the application. We have dedicated lists, again, for each company, and you can follow through these dedicated lists to see how, if that particular client fits your organizational risk portfolio. And once you've done the AML checks, you could do the KYC documentations, save that in the system. And there is also sort of the workspace area where once you've set up the client and done their onboarding, you can then add their deadlines here, and every single deadline would have an associated task where you can then start working on that client account. So this is where you track your deadlines, you have your tasks which are associated with each deadline, and with each task you can save information within the task work area. So if I open a particular task, you have your task description, timeline of the task, and so on. So you can store files and sort of see the progress that has been made on each task here. Following this, we have sort of different views and grids for deadlines and tasks. So you can have a Kanban view, calendar view for the tasks, and deadlines are again based on different views. And if we quickly go back to the client section here, you also have like a timeline which shows you all the things that happen with the client in a particular sort of in notes and everywhere else. So the activity can be filtered based on what happened in the last, let's say, 12 months. And you can also track the emails and notes separately to that. So the activity can be seen for each client. And just going back to Workspace, you have 3 different types of folder access here as well. So you've got unlimited document storage within Capium, and within that you are able to store them in 3 different variants. So you can have commercial documents, which are internal sensitive information that you might want to store. Then you've got the client shared information, which is the data you're sharing with the client. And then there is the practice inbox where you share all the files that you require within the practice. We have the several other elements here as well. So the communication has another portal here for you to do the bulk emails and SMSs. And we've got a conversation portal, which is essentially all the incoming emails can be filtered here. And as they're filtered, you're able to link them to a particular client, a task, or a service. So again, it goes onto the client timeline. We've integrated with the calendar integrations here as well. So if you have a practice calendar that you'd like to integrate with Capium, you're able to sign up with either Google or Outlook, and that integrates all the deadlines and everything else with these calendars. Right. So this is our time and fees module. So here you might see that there is the ability for you to record time. And with that, you essentially record the time for the entire team. And that time is reviewed by the managers or the admin within the system. So if I go back a few weeks here, you'll see that there is time that's been added by different users. And that time can then be sent to this pending for approval state. And at that state, you've got the ability to approve the time against each client. And if you reject the time, it goes back to the user that has logged that time, and based on the comments that you've provided, they can fix those elements within the timesheet and send it back for approval. So that process essentially repeats on a weekly basis, and it resets for every Monday morning. So you are able to again go back in the time and add the time logs, but again, the system doesn't restrict you to just do current week. It is flexible for you to add time logs for past weeks as well. So for each log that has been added, there would be a job under which you will have this time assigned. So you have the ability to create the jobs before the time is assigned to it, or the staff member that works on a job can again log their time against a job, and then you can go and approve the job and define the job a bit further. So let's say if a member of your staff has gone and created a new job, you can just simply open that job and define what sort of a job this is, how many estimated amount of hours are needed to do this job, and the total cost that is incurred in this job. So you can again estimate your total cost there. You could edit and add the subtasks here. So if, for example, right before the submission, you want to change or add a few more steps, you're able to do that and then again assign it to the users. So in that job, as you make progress, you're able to see the estimate versus the actual for each job, and that shows you the overall profitability of the jobs that you have undertaken in that particular time frame. There is also the expense section. So let's say if your firm does any audits or has incurred any expenses while working for a particular client, you're able to log those expenses against that client, and you can essentially bill that when you come to the fees section. So here again, you're able to essentially select which user incurred that the expense, and if you're a staff user, I'm currently using an admin page here. If you're a staff user, you only see your page here. So you will log your hours against any particular client, and that would then again go for approval and then be visible on the fees section. So with the fees, this doesn't restrict you to use time and fees. So let's say even if you have a fixed fee model, it really helps to have this time and fees software, because what you are able to see is against the fixed cost of each company or the client that you have, you can then see how much is your actual cost to deliver on that particular client on a year-on-year basis. So you are able to see who is your profitable clients and who are not as profitable. So with this, again, if, for example, I wanted to generate an invoice, you could use the existing track time to generate the invoice automatically, or you could use a free-form invoice where you're just filling the invoice in based on the time that has been spent on it. So if here I select my demo company for which I've done these invoicing for, you can see that it will pull all the timekeeping records that have been put in, and it will give you the overall cost towards the end. So it is upon the practice to either directly invoice this, or they could then create a free-form invoice and customize it further. Now, there's also a number of different reports that you can run because off the back of the time that has been logged. So you could go into the manage section and see how much each user has contributed to a particular company. You could see their monthly timekeeping record, and you could also see a number of other elements here. So let me select a user with some more data in there. That's the one. So in this user, you are able to see their log time. So they've done 2 hours on payroll. They've spent 2 hours, 45 minutes on ad hoc tasks. And then it gives you sort of like a breakdown of every single task that they were involved in. And it also gives you some other information. So you could see the total working hours each week versus the workload that they have each week. So again, that shows you sort of like your profitability metrics across practice. Again, in tasks, you can do other task-related reports. So if I were to go into the payroll one or the company accounts here, you'll see that it shows you the number of active jobs currently, and it also shows you the overall billing and the sort of task-wise breakdown of each company. So you can have a bird's eye view of what is being done right now, and sort of gives you a work in progress-esque report here. We are currently developing a more in-depth work in progress report as well. So that's in the pipeline. And with Manage, again, you're able to import your sort of clients from our practice management system and sync it up. You can bring tasks from the practice management system and the users from there as well. So this is our next generation it's built on our next generation platform. So it's essentially currently it's ahead of all the other modules, and we are essentially building the bridges into our time and fees product right now. And finally, this is our company secretarial module, where you are able to essentially form companies and do anything associated with company's house. So you have formations here. So and you can essentially add or remove directors from within this module. You could also check your filings, and you've got the HMRC Form 42 and a number of other things that we support with this module. There's also the complicated formations that you can do from here, and there's also some legal elements that are attached to this application.
Lovely. Thank you for that whistle-stop tour of the modules of Capium. For more information or to get in touch with them, you can visit capium.com. That's capium.com. For everything else from the world of accounting, we're accountingweb.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.